Let's have a look at how energy is transferred. We know that all living organisms require energy to survive. Plants get theirs from the sunlight, animals get it by eating the plants, and other animals get it by eating other animals. All this can be demonstrated or displayed in the form of a food chain or a food web. If you look at this diagram, it shows that the transfer of energy takes place either in the form of a food chain or in the form of a food web. Let's have a look at what a food chain is. Plants, which are the producers, which are the chief source from which food for other animals originates, they transfer this energy to those animals that feed on them. As a result, those animals which have fed on the plants, which are the producers, are consumed by other animals referred to as consumers, and this chain goes on and on. As a result of it, energy will be transferred from the lowest to the highest. At each level of the chain, there is always a transfer of energy. This transfer of energy is called the food chain. Have a look at the diagram. The first one shows grass, the producer. Deer is the consumer being again consumed by a lion. The same applies for the second diagram. The third diagram shows plant, the producer, being consumed by a caterpillar, which is in turn consumed by a frog, which again in turn is consumed by a bird. So you have producers to consumers. At the same time, the plant, as we said, is the producer. Without the plant, no energy transfer can take place to the caterpillar, to the frog, or to the bird. A food web, on the other hand, unlike a food chain, is a complex structure of different chains interconnected between each other. This, as a result, forms a network where you find that one organism has to be dependent on the other for its survival. There is a linkage between various species of producers and consumers. So this suggests that food chains do not operate alone, but instead rely on a network of food chains called a food web. Take a look at the diagram. You will notice that the humans will eat plants, he'll eat a fish, he'll eat deers also, which is basically meat for its sustenance. The lion relies on the deer, the eagle relies on the fish, the insect will eat the plants, in turn get eaten by the fish. At the same time, the fish will also eat a plant, and the fish will also eat a lizard. The eagle will eat the lizard. So there is an interconnection of different food chains that have been put together, as a result forming a web-like structure. So transfer of energy takes place in various forms from various species, from one to another. Let's take a look at what trophic levels are. When we say that a food chain transfers energy from one level to the next, meaning from one organism to the next, it shows that that transformation of energy is utilized before it is actually transferred. So the steps or levels through which energy transfer takes place is called the trophic level. And it can take place, as we'll look at further in the diagram, from the primary level to the tertiary level, meaning to say from the producers to the consumers. So in the food chain, producer is the grass, consumers are the deer and the lion. So the primary level is the grass, which will move on to the tertiary level, which will become the lion, or in the second diagram, the bird. Have a look at the diagram that shows the trophic levels in a food chain. The first level is the producer, second, herbivores, third, carnivores, and the top predators as such, or consumers, which are top carnivores. The other diagram of the pyramid shows you a hierarchical structure starting from the base or the foundation of the producers, which is plants. The primary, which will become your consumers as well as the secondary, and the tertiary will become your top consumers or carnivores, as we say. Further breaking it down, the first trophic level is the producer, in our case, grass. Second trophic level is a herbivore, which is the insect. The third trophic level is the carnivore, in this case, a frog. And the top carnivore at the fourth trophic level is the bird. But if you look further, this can be represented way down in the trophic levels in a food chain again. The next diagram shows grass at the first, insect at the second, bird at the third. But then, if you compare it with the diagram above, the bird itself can either be eaten by a human also, or by another predatory bird, which will now become the fourth trophic level, and that bird would become the top carnivore. How does energy transfer affect us or other organisms? First of all, we should know, and we do know in fact, that energy is not created in the ecosystem. It is only converted from one form to another when you say producers are being consumed by a consumer and a next consumer consumed by a top consumer. Sunlight is the main source or provider of energy. Without it, plants, which are the producers, would not be able to manufacture their food by the process of photosynthesis. The food that the plants produce is stored within the body as chemical energy, and when they are consumed by herbivores, it is then transferred to that herbivore, which utilizes that energy. But not all of it is completely utilized. We'll see that in the next paragraph. These herbivores now, after sustaining their energy, are in turn eaten by carnivores or top carnivores, which sustain the energy. But as I stated earlier, that energy is not fully utilized. The form of energy transfer and utilization that takes place in the food chain at all trophic levels is said to be unidirectional. This is because not all the energy is utilized. It is lost to the environment in the form of heat. This can be utilized by the plants, and as a result, this flow of energy is said to be unidirectional. So, we have the plants producing chemical energy that is consumed by the animals, which do not completely utilize it, which again the animals are consumed by a top consumer, which does not fully utilize that energy, and the energy that's not utilized is lost to the environment in the form of heat, which again the plants, as the energy returns to the soil, consumes that to produce more chemical energy. So as a result, since the flow is only in one directional, it is said that the flow of energy is unidirectional. This small diagram or a drawing shows how solar energy is trapped by the plant, which produces chemical energy. It is consumed by the insect, which again is a primary consumer, and then you have a secondary consumer, which is the bird, which consumes on the insect. So there is a transfer of energy taking place all through these three organisms. I hope you've enjoyed the presentations. If you'd like to see more presentations, you can always visit us on our website at www.arinjayacademy.com. Furthermore, for a subscription, you could always check us out on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Arinjay Academy. You can subscribe to us also on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/C/Arinjay Jain Academy. Thank you.